Hi, everyone. Welcome back for session 4, or the last of our series. Thank you so much for returning. It's nice to see all your faces again, or not really see everybody because we don't have. Oh, so cute. Oh,
look at that smile.
Well, Kristin, I'll step aside because otherwise I'm going to stay with the cute baby the entire time and be very distracting. So y'all enjoy.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm so glad you joined us for our last one of these talks. I was wondering, before I get started, I have a couple of things I'd like to mention tonight that I forgot about other weeks. Does anybody have any questions for tonight? Things you've been thinking about, something you tried and you're wondering about? No? Okay. One more time, can you remind me the ages of your children?
Aaron is 3 months.
3 months. And Alonzo, you said 5 months?
Yes. 6.
Going on 6.
Going on 6.
Going on 6. Okay.
1 year next week.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, Christy, you're on mute. I can see you talking but can't hear you.
Sorry, 21 months.
21 months. Okay.
Yes.
Since
she's wild today, so that's why I'm like muted.
Oh, that's all right. So is Wren. She's been very, very, very busy the past few days and giving me a run for my money. She might make a guest appearance a little bit later so everybody can meet her since I keep talking about her. She just got a bath with her older sister, gave her a bath. I realized we've talked about so many different things, but we really didn't talk about a whole lot of fine motor finger things. So this might be, if your babies are little yet, just keep these things in mind for it's coming up. And then for 2 older ones, some of these things are getting to be kind of appropriate. But I was thinking about some of the things that I did with Wren, with just things that I had around the house and that could really practice your fine motor skills using, your fingers and eyes and hands together. And one thing that is awesome to have around, and we all have, I'm sorry if you can hear Wren in the background, is a muffin tin. I did so many different things with a muffin tin, and typically we all have them. Wren, you want to say hi to the people? Come here, come say hi. Come here, look, there's people here. Come here, come say hi, just for a minute. Want to say hi to everybody? No, say hi. I'm getting big. I'm going to be 4 in less than a month. No, you have no interest. You want your big sister. Thank you, June. So I was talking about the muffin tins. So you can use those and put little things, like I used to use like those golf balls, that the plastic ones that have all the little holes in them. That's a great space for them to drop and put them in, take things out. It makes it really easy when you have a couple different holes in one spot. So when they're learning that, put things in, take things out. You can use them to put paint in when they're playing. And the other thing that I was thinking about paint and all that, Wren still to this day at almost 4, and it seems that a lot of our kids, this is delayed in, keeps putting things in her mouth. Like that's the one thing that drives me crazy, really, honestly, is that by this age, my other kids weren't putting things in their mouth anymore, and I have to watch her constantly. So even if we're painting, we're doing Play-Doh, whatever on the floor, it still goes in her mouth, even though she understands, I think, that she shouldn't do that. And word of warning, watch, because she did that to me one day and swallowed a toy, and we had to go to the hospital and get it out. So now I take it really, really seriously, and I'm careful about what I recommend because I thought I was being careful. But there's, and somebody was, I think Christy was talking about not wanting to touch the food, and, we were talking about shaving cream. Our kids are going to put it in their mouth, and whipped cream's full of sugar. There's one thing that I discovered that is so cool that I did not know about my older kids, but when you buy like garbanzo beans or chickpeas, in a can, there's liquid with them. And apparently this is like a specialty thing that in fancy restaurants they use as a garnish with things. And if you look it up online, you can find easy find recipe. There's lots of kids recipes for it. But if you put that and whip it up like in your mixer with a little bit of cream of tartar, it turns it into shaving cream. Like it looks just like shaving cream that comes out of the can. If you want to put food coloring, or we have natural food coloring at our house, it looked exactly like it. So I love to make that, because if Wren puts it in her mouth, it's just food, and healthy food at that. It must taste good because she likes it. But we've done so many activities where we can put it on our high chair tray and really just get it on our hands and explore and get messy with the food and experiment with it. But we've also done some really fun things where I just take like a pot of water when I'm feeling brave. Sometimes we do it outside, but put it on the table. And then I gave her like our little farm animals that go to the little Fisher Price one. And then because at first she actually didn't want to touch it, which surprised me. And I put them in the foam that makes, some people call it aquafaba, is a fancy name for it. But, and then take it, and you can take them and you can put them in the water and you can wash them off. Then we took a towel and we dried them. Wren really seems to like, anything that has to do with washing or cleaning. You can get out a brush and you can scrub them. But it keeps her busy for a long time. And that's what I'm really been going for lately is activities. But that can be started, at a year old when you're starting to play with things like that. The other thing that I found that Wren really liked and also keeps her busy for a long time, and I got very smart with this, is you often hear like, you can play with rice and scoop and pour. So I've made the pretty colored rice and all that. But one day when it was all over my kitchen again, I had an idea, and I bought one of those really big plastic containers that you slide under your bed. That comes with the lid. And I didn't fill the whole thing with rice. I just gave her containers of them, but I put her inside the box with all of that. So when we pour and do all that, it stayed for the most part in there. And it really kept her busy. She loves that. And I just make new rice, or, you don't have to dye it. I think that's fun, but you could use any color. And I love the dollar store. You can find so many things when you're just kind of wander around. So I got measuring cups, teaspoons are great, like measuring spoons, because you can scoop a little bit, and she just goes from container to container to container, dump it all out, container to container. So that's a really good one to practice those scooping and all that. And anytime you're practicing scooping and things like that, you're also practicing the same skill that you use to bring the spoon to your mouth, something like that. Play-Doh is great, and the same thing. Wren would eat Play-Doh. We're getting better with that, but she doesn't eat gluten. So I made homemade Play-Doh, which has been fun for us to make together with the scooping and pouring. There's so much you can do with Play-Doh too. One really good one is if you make little tiny Play-Doh balls, like I'm talking like pea size, and you line them up and you show them how to use their finger and go smush, 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 smush. And then you get that nice pointing. I have a picture from the day Wren pointed for the very, very first time at something. We were playing with animals. And we were singing like Old MacDonald or something, and I had him up and I said, well, which one do you want to sing about? And I remember when she pointed for the first time, because that's a really big milestone, is pointing at something, because it shows that we're doing the same thing together, that joint attention. We're engaged in the same activity. If I point at it, I'm going to look at it with my eyes, and you're going to look at it with two, and you're going to tell, I'm telling you something, which is huge for communication. And you'll see as your guys get older, if you're getting speech therapy, lots of kids to supplement what they're saying with their words goes with pointing at pictures, and there's lots of different communication systems that way. So developing that pointing skill is really huge. And same when we're looking at books, that's another way. That's a big deal, to be pointing at the pictures and talking about what you're seeing in the books. It's one of the best things that you can be doing. So I like that activity. Another thing that really still to this day will keep Wren busy, but you can start it with them like at a year old or whenever they're reaching for things and kind of pushing, is I'll take a piece of contact paper, clear contact paper, and put it up against the wall, put the sticky side out, and then I just use like painter's tape or something to go around the outside. So there's a nice sticky surface. And then you can cut up little colors and pieces of paper and stick them on, make art. You talk about the colors. You can use pom-poms. I do pom-poms with reserve now because I worry about Wren swallowing them. But that's a great activity too. And when we're picking up little pieces of paper, we're picking up pom-poms, we're using what we call a tripod grasp, all 3 fingers, which is what you're going to need to hold the pencil. So all of these things that we do with our hands is really prepping us for when we go to school and we need to hold a pencil and we're going to start to draw and color and do all those kinds of things. I had another, oh, and I was gonna say about the painter's tape. Painter's tape is one of the best things you can have at home on hand. I've used it for so many different things. But another fun one is you can take, same thing, like everybody has the Fisher Price animals once they get to a certain age, or little figures like that. You can tape them down to the floor, to the table, in the muffin tins, and you tape them down, and then that you have to use that, say you use that pincer grasp, you're going to pull the tape off and you're going to save the animals. That one keeps them busy for a long time. Wren loves tape. Tonight, she had my roll of tape and I was trying to cook dinner. So I just let it go for, 50 cents roll of tape, but she was pulling out the whole thing. She had it wrapped around her, that clear tape, but let it go and let your kids play with tape. I have so many kids that I work with at school that don't know what to do tape because nobody ever let them play with it. So tape is great and it's cheap. Actually, my older kids told me that they, my middle one said that she was so proud of herself when she was in preschool because she was the only kid that knew how to rip masking tape and hold it like this and tear. Everybody else had to use scissors or ask a teacher. And to this day, at almost 14, remember she was proud she could use tape. So play with tape. Anybody have any questions about? I did that really fast. Those were all ideas that I was thinking about that I haven't shared before with it. Another thing with those pom-poms I've seen that's really fun is with a whisk, how it has the spaces between the metal tines of it, and you can stick the pom-poms in there and then you have to put your fingers in and you can pull them out. See, I like pom-poms. You can take, when Wren was learning how to put in, I took like a yogurt, one of those big yogurt containers, and cut a hole in the top. And the same thing, we had the pom-poms and we put them in. So you had to use that pincer grasp, pick it up, put it in the hole. Those are all great things. Like once you get over a year, 15 months old, you should be able to do some of those activities with your kids. I wanted to tell you about some of my favorite books that can help with some of these things. And I went through my stack today and realized I gave a lot of them away already, or not gave them away, loaned to people. But there's a series of books and they have them on Amazon, and I can't remember the author, but there's 3 of them and they're all wonderful. It's like gross motor skills with children with Down syndrome, fine motor skills with children with Down syndrome. And then there's a speech one for children with Down syndrome. And it's really nice because it breaks it down into real sequential. So, and we can't really go by months because all our kids develop at different ages. So really you want to follow the developmental sequence. I don't care if you're 6 months working on a skill or 4 years old, it's still we want it to go in that same sequence. And those books really do break it down like that. And the library has them too. I took them out of there first before I ever bought them for myself. But I have found those very helpful over the years. And then there's another one, and you think you don't need it, but it's great to get it ahead of time because before you know it, you're going to have a 3-year-old. And the same thing, I gave it to my mother-in-law right now. But I've only heard rave reviews about it, and it really helped me think about, and I've done this forever, but it's called Positive Discipline for children. I think children with Down syndrome. It's not a very big book, but there are some common behaviors that go with children with Down syndrome based on how their brain works, and you learn. And what I really liked is the book explains to you kind of how their brain works and how reinforcement works, because our guys really like that reinforcement whether it comes from adults, but it's very easy that positive or negative kind of, like even if we're giving them negative, get upset because they did something, that's reinforcing, and then you're going to support that behavior versus help to get rid of it. That book is fantastic about explaining it. I've done behavior forever and I learned a lot out of that book. I need to read it again. We're dealing with some stuff at home with, and you're going to see, we we are going to deal with behaviors as our kids get older because of the communication challenges that they have, because just because they can't say it to us does not mean that they don't know it up here. They're, I can see how smart Wren is, and she figures things out, but she most times can't exactly explain what she wants. And that's when we're having tantrums, is because she cannot tell us what she wants. But speech will help. But like, there's lots of things that people will support you with that. But, that's definitely, something that is common with that. That book was very helpful with that.
Is it this one?
That's it. Yep. That's the exact book. Yep.
Is it
And
possible to get like a list of those books?
Yeah, I would be happy. I can send that to Marissa, and she can send it out to everybody. I'd be happy to do that. Good idea. Thank you.
No problem.
I do have another one. This is like my favorite book in the entire world. But I'll put them on the list. But it's called Kids Beyond Limits, and it actually goes with a whole program, which I'm just saying that this book really helped me stop and think. And actually, this part makes me cry a little bit. Like, I'm an OT, right? So this is all I do all day, every day. And when Wren was a baby, in my head, I was like, we got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do this. And I was focused on the therapy part of it, and I work all day with children, and I'm doing therapy. And then I came home, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to do this with her. We got to practice sitting up. We got to do this. And then she wasn't liking some of it. And then I totally realized, what in the world am I doing? But this book really, really, really helped me change my perspective and my thinking on that, and made me take a step back and really, really become an observer of what Wren could do, which helped me to think, oh, that's the next thing that we can do, and provide it in a more natural thing versus like skill and drill of therapy. And it actually, not only did it change my how I was looking at things with Wren, which made me a much happier parent, and I really could enjoy every little moment, and we celebrate every little thing. It helped me do that, but it really changed me as who I was as a therapist. I totally do things differently. And this book is not by an OT or anything. This lady is brilliant. And it just has like 9 different, I don't want to say, I can't remember, it's not beliefs, but 9 different things to look at. And it really helps you to look at your child and observe and become like a partner with them of doing these things, and can empower you as a parent to do things versus letting a therapist kind of do it for you or do it to your child. So this is my favorite book in the whole world. Regardless if your child has special needs or not, this is the best book, but it was kind of geared towards that. And this one, a speech therapist friend told me about. It Takes Two to Talk, and it is once again for a specific kind of speech-based program, but the book is fantastic about helping you figure out where your child is with speech patterns and how you can encourage that. And because there are definitely things that we can do when we're encouraging speech. If we encourage it the right way, we'll promote speech. And if we kind of push it another way, we can actually kind of prevent them from saying some stuff. There's, a way to go about that. And that book was fantastic about that. I learned so much from that book, and all of these things kind of help us do it in that natural environment with their kids. I think those are all my very favorite ones that I've learned. I've learned so much by having Wren. She's made me a much, much better therapist. Anybody have any questions or any of that? I know I'm going fast because I keep thinking of all the things I didn't say over the past few weeks.
Kind of, thinking about birthday coming up, is there any we have a 2-year-old at home too. So we have, half the toys you could name, I'm sure, but any great either therapy or just developmental toys that you mentioned, the music tables. I'm like, okay, we have that in the Amazon cart. Like, what would be something good to get?
That's a great
just
question.
Thinking out of the box a little bit that, we may not already have.
Some of those things that I just talked about now, I mean, even to give them a bin so they can have the rice, I mean, that makes a really cool present. I'm trying to think, one of the things that we love in our house and still do is a parachute. You can buy smaller ones, especially because then you would have both your kids there, you, any other adult in the house, has been so much fun because you can do what you do with a parachute, lift it up. And we put, like, Wren loves her puppy, like her, her stuffed puppy goes everywhere, has to sleep with it. We put puppy in there and shake it up and down, but you get such a good sensory experience from that because you get to hold it. You can feel the wind on you. Other people can make it go up. You can go under. But the other really fun thing about a parachute is if you have carpet in your house, you can put your child on the parachute and take them for a ride around the house. When they're little like that, a year old, my husband and I would put Wren on the parachute and we would do a little bit of a swing that way. So that was a favorite.
Okay.
It's still Wren just pulled it out the other day because we went to Gigi's Playhouse and they did a parachute activity. She found it and pulled it out and asked us to do it with her. So that'll last for a long time. Oh, you know what? The other one we really liked, it's downstairs. Wren still loves it. She used to love to pull tissues out of a box. And they actually, I think it's Lakeshore Learning, one of those makes do you know what I'm talking about? It makes it like a soft-sided, it looks like a tissue box, and it has all those scarves in it, and you can pull them all out. And that was well worth, because she still loves that. But now, when they're little, I had to put them back in. But now she can put them back in and pull them back out. And then the same with the scarves. You can do so many that come in different colors. You can put them on your head. You can really play with the scarves a lot. And I had another thought with those, and I just lost it. Of what she liked around that time too. I forgot. It'll come back to me. It was just the other thing that we really like are play silks. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of those. They were all they are is like a pretty dyed silk scarf, but they make them for babies and kids and stuff like that. But they're so great because they're so thin and light, and they're so soft and silky. If you just look up play silks, you'll find them everywhere. And I bought blank ones when I, was much younger and had time and didn't have teenagers and a little one, and dyed my own. But then you can buy them lots of different places. But the same thing, they're great for playing peekaboo, put over your head. Then they become a baby blanket. And we had different color ones. So I had a rainbow one. They had a green one that they put down to make the grass. And they got them as babies, but played with them probably until they were at least 10, because then they became a cape. And, it goes, you can put it over something to make a tent. I'm assuming, since you have do you have a tunnel? That's always a good one, like one of those tunnels that ties up. That was a huge one, or like a pop-up tent. Are really good. It seems like they just want to play with whatever's in the house too. Like we have so many toys, and Wren just wants to do whatever we have. But those were our favorite at that age. And all of those still get played with today.
Thank you.
Good question. Another thing I just wanted to touch on, because it is, and Christy, you heard my spiel on this one when I did it at Gigi's last year, but another thing is something that I didn't even have to deal with as much when I have some other research here, when my older ones were even younger, and it's even more of a big deal, and we did not deal with it all when we were kids, is electronics. I just wanted to touch upon that a little bit, because there are so many apps, TV shows, everything out there geared towards little kids. And all of the research points to that is not good. Not really good for all of us, but especially not good for little brains that are still developing. Even when, there's TV shows that teach you really, really good concepts, but the major thing missing from them is the back and forth. TV doesn't talk back to you. It's always one-sided. And I don't know, I do let Wren watch TV. And sometimes you need it because I got to get something done. And that's, that's what she's doing right now while I'm here, because my husband's outside working in the yard yet. So I try to save it for things like that. I just lost my train of thought, what I wanted to say with that. But so there's not that back and forth piece. And so she becomes essentially like a potato, right? We put it on there and she's just a zombie sitting there watching it. And yes, she's learned some great language. I hear her say things from the TV, but she's not active during those times. When the TV's off, or, you know, and we don't really give her we don't do any games or anything like that on iPads or anything yet. When it's not on, she's doing pretend play. She's playing with her kitchen. She's climbing. She's getting into things I don't want her to, but those are all natural things. And when we use an electronic, it literally turns off the part of the brain we want to be learning and turns on other parts that we don't want to be doing that. And there's so much, before it was like, we just thought we knew this. There's so much research out there. I actually just registered for a class that's all about the research, why we shouldn't be doing these things. So don't just put all that away. Don't think about it. Just play. Get on the floor, give them toys. Don't think about electronics because they're not good for their brains, period. And the other thing that I am seeing, that this is crazy if you can think this happened in such a short period of time, but I've been in OT. This is my 21st year. And I work with a lot of veteran teachers that have been teaching 30 plus years. And we have seen a huge change in our kids when they're coming into kindergarten. They, the fine motor skills, how they hold their pencil, all of those things is not like where it used to be. Now we have to teach grasp and all the things, but they think they know how to write their letters because preschools are forcing 3-year-olds to do letters when they're not developmentally there. And then they have all these electronics in their hands, and we're actually seeing kids with hands that aren't as strong. But if you're sitting in front of an electronic, you're not moving your body. So I'm seeing kids with really low tone. And now I'm saying this across the board. I'm not saying this for kids that might have special needs or special learning needs. Across the board, we've seen that change. So think about our kids who already have low tone. If we're encouraging these things, we're going to make that even more significant. So just play. Don't think about, like, if you need to use it, like I said, I mean, I'm guilty of doing that. And I feel okay about that because it's here and there. And my husband and I had to have a lot of talk about, you can't just come in and put the TV on the whole time until mom gets home. Wren's got to be playing. And I notice when she's had it for a longer period of time, then she's crankier. She doesn't know how to engage herself. So there's so many reasons not to use it, and very, very, very small reasons that you would want to use it. And I do use it when they get older and for some things, but limit it that as much as you can, and you'll be doing your kid a really big service. It is 8:30 already. I think those were all the biggest things.
Listen, is it all right to like have something like that playing, but you're like singing along with like the music? Or
I would, yeah, I mean, and it's probably even better for you to do you just singing and things like that, versus, so they're looking at, your child's looking at you and not the TV would be my preference. But I mean, sure, the more interactive we make it, absolutely the better. But the best place would be for, you know, him to be on your lap, right in front of your face, singing and doing those things together. But
he's not good with nursery rhymes. He doesn't know any.
No. Yeah, or sometimes, I mean, we have an Alexa, so a lot of times I put music in the background and we're singing because Wren doesn't like my singing as much as like people that can sing, because I'm a terrible singer. And we do that, but it doesn't have, like, you know, you can't see it on the TV or whatever. We just have the music part of it so that Wren's looking at me when we do it. Because that's a great way to start learning all those finger motions and hand motions, and they look at our face and they see our facial gestures and that we're smiling or whatever, we're showing surprise. Like, that's really what we want them looking at our faces to learn all, because that's bottom line communication. You know, even if we can't communicate verbally, we can communicate non-verbally, and we're going to learn that by watching the parents in our house, for sure. And along those lines too, talk to your kids too. I mean, obviously we talk to our kids, but I've noticed, especially now, I see all the kids, they go to Target and they're all sitting in the cart with their phone. You know, mom hands them the phone or an iPad. Like, I see that every time I go out, and I cringe, because when we go out in a place like that, that's the perfect time to be talking to our children. You're at the grocery store, talk about the food you're buying, right? This is an apple, whatever, you know, and show them and talk about it. You should be conversing them like whatever. I sometimes feel like I'm like the crazy one talking to my kids when they're like little like that. But the same thing, I have kids who come to me that don't know what a lots of fruits and vegetables are. And I'll tell you, if you don't know what it is, you're not going to eat it. So if they know what it is, they're more likely to put it in their mouth when you offer it to them. So just in general, chit chat all the time, from brand new babies up, talk lots. And, you know, they're going to learn the intonation of your voice when they don't understand the words. That makes the bond between you. So you can't talk too much unless they're getting overwhelmed and crying or something, obviously. But otherwise, explain everything, talk about it. Even if you don't think they understand what you're saying, still say it, still do it. Even as they get older, they'll be surprised but what they're really taking in, even though they can't say it. So, I mean, our kids get judged a lot on that. They might not know something because they're not saying it. And I know that's absolutely not true. They are really smart kids. Any other questions? These were good questions tonight. I will make the list of the books either tonight or sometime this week. I'll do that. If not tonight, for Marissa, and she can send it out. I enjoy getting to meet everybody and seeing your little ones. This was so fun.
Random question. This is a little off topic.
Sure, go ahead.
We're currently working on trunk control. And he's getting a little better. Like, he's leaning over and trying to catch himself and trying to put his hand down. Anything you suggest for that? Like, I put him on my knees. I try to put him on like an ottoman and hold his feet, and then he wobbles a little. But I mean, any other things? Because I tried to, like you said, have him look at me when I'm reading or singing, or something, but it's a little bit harder because he's
wobbly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being like on your knee or something is great because you want to help. You can help hold them up, but provide as little support as you can, but still helping, so that if you have him on your knee, you know, don't hold really tight, so that if he moves or whatever, you're there to guide him, but not necessarily hold him up. So you can let him go down a little bit and see if he's going to catch himself, bring himself back up. That's a great place to do it. The bed is a great place to practice sitting up a little bit, because he could fall and be totally safe, right? If you're sitting in the middle of the bed and you're practicing, because you're going to have to fall. Like, that is super duper important. Babies and toddlers have to fall to learn how to balance. If we always catch them, they're never going to learn how to do it on their own. So that's a good way to do that. And there's another, I'll put it on the list with the books. There's something called, it's a nest that it blows up kind of like an inner tube, but it's covered in fabric and has a bottom. So it's just the right size to sit a little one up in. But if they fall a little bit and it catches them. Or if they fall away over, they just fall on this soft thing, and it has lots of little things to play with. That was one of the best things I spent money on. And Wren still loves it because she loves to climb in and out. It looks like a boat, you know, all that kind of stuff. But that is kind of a good investment. And then you don't have to worry. If you fall, you don't get hurt at all. That's one of the ways that she learned to sit up.
Okay. Also, with that, sorry.
Go ahead.
He flexes his arms backwards, not only during tummy time, but like when we're holding him and walking around, his arms are like kind of swayed to the back. It's like it's a preferred position. And I don't know if that's like something that he grows out of, or...
My guess would be that's the way that he's trying to gain some stability. So if he doesn't have stability in that core and we kind of lock our arms like that, that essentially makes him stronger. Now we're using the wrong muscles to do that, but that would be my guess, is that he is trying to do that. So there's a couple different ways, like you said, like carrying him. How do you normally carry him? Like, what's the typical way that you kind of hold him if you're going to carry him around the house or something like that?
The side position on the hip.
On the hip.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be a tricky one when they're little like that. Another way you can carry them is put their back to your chest and kind of hold up under their legs. And that gives them a little more stability because their back is against you and you're helping to support. And then also his arms can't go backwards because you're there. So
he's also a front flyer.
Okay.
So he leads. So I would just be nervous with that.
Well, and you can do though, when I say like you put it kind of like you would put your hold on 1 second. Let me grab a baby. Here. Here's our bear. So you could hold, I mean, he's small enough that you can put your arm between his legs and kind of hold him this way so that you'll be able supporting so he won't fall forward like that. And you could even, I mean, I would do a lot like this or his arms like that and keep it this way. And that will help with that a little bit too. Because it is hard. And their legs are so tiny and our hips are so big, you know, that makes it a little bit tricky. So that's a good way to hold when you're kind of just hanging out.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anything last minute questions?
I guess one last thing. I remember last time there were some issues with Anna's email. So if you get the list of the books, we're not going to get it. So if you can repeat it one more time, the first one that you said, we'll just take note of it.
Oh, sure. The like the fine motor skills. Oh, the behavior one that was supporting positive behavior in children with Down syndrome. I think it was. That they have it on Amazon. If you just put those words in, it will come up for sure. All of these. Yep. Supporting positive behavior in children with Down syndrome. And I bought it when Wren was less than a year old, and I kept it there until I thought I needed it. And I read it before I really needed it, but that's a great.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, we took
You're
note
welcome.
of it.
You got okay.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I think that's good, Marissa.
Yeah, if there's no other questions, we will wrap up. Thank you all for coming to all of these. We've appreciated it. I hope you've learned a lot. It seems like everybody's been pretty engaged the entire time. So if you have any feedback, please feel free to email it to me. I'd love to hear it. I'm always interested in learning about how you all have experienced things. So if you have any things you want to share with me, please share it. And Kristin, whenever you get that list of books, I'll be happy to share that out otherwise.
Okay, I'll get that done this week.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
I have one more question. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Thank you,
go
Kristin.
right ahead.
We are currently in Maryland, and we're looking. Any suggestions for like private OTs that are perhaps like in, I guess, more or less in the more or less in like Anne Arundel. We've looked at Pivot. And where did we go? We went to another like private Novacare, but they don't seem like they really specialize in children with Down syndrome. It's more like a.
What are you? I'm not sure that I know, but I might be able. I know enough that I might be able to, have enough networks. Where are you exactly in Maryland? And maybe I can find out. Where Green? What?
Glen Burnie.
Glen
Burnie, yeah.
Which is Anne Arundel. Burnie.
Okay.
And it's Anne Arundel County. So we were looking between Anne Arundel County and PG County. Because most of his doctors are in PG. So we don't mind like hopping. It's just like when we call the insurance company, they say like we can't give you anyone that specializes in one in babies and two in anyone who has DS. So these PT, like they're just like, oh, like we can see what we can do, but this is not what we specialize in.
Right. Yeah. And you definitely want somebody who's skilled with working with babies, because that's a completely different thing than older kids. I'm not promising anything, but I'll put my feelers out and see if I can find somebody. And if so, I'll let Marissa know and she can let you know.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That super quick.
Sure.
So we, the CDSA, we've been in contact with about OT and PT, and there's apparently only one provider who works with our insurance, which is Aetna. And I thought they were, a large insurance company. So we're struggling. Nobody will provide in-home. So in this case, like we'd rather drive to outpatient than do virtual. Just, at this age, we felt like that's more beneficial. But it's kind of a struggle. I don't know if you know of any other avenues for us to take. Like I said, our service coordinator reached out to the only two, and both of them said, nope, we're not doing any in-home. So we kind of lost what to do other than just go outpatient through, Carolina's rehab.
Yes. Are you in like North Charlotte, South Charlotte?
I'm in Cabarrus.
Oh, in Cabarrus. Okay. I will check on that one too. I will.
Yeah, and like we got, a list from a pediatrician as well, but it just seems much more difficult than we anticipated.
Yeah, and I think the whole home health thing has gotten a little tricky with COVID and all that, where some people were doing that more than, and maybe not as much. Now, I don't even know if the CDSA has moved back to in person or they're still virtual.
Said no.
No.
Yep.
That's what I was hearing by us too, that it was still virtual.
They're virtual, at least the case managers, but our PT therapist that's been with us since Leora was 6, we did a little bit of home, and she noticed that it wasn't really helping. And she said, if you feel comfortable, I will come in. And we've done it. We maybe stopped for April of last year. And by May, I said, I need you here. And we have been nonstop at home. And it's through Milestone.
Okay.
So a lot of them are still going home and providing services at home. So Milestone Therapy is one of them. Okay. I have MedCost, so I don't know if they do have except Aetna. Aetna's what you said you have?
Yeah.
But I could ask my therapist. She comes tomorrow. And if anything, I'll email Marissa.
Okay.
And I'll let her know. But Milestone, definitely, they're doing some in-home therapy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many, I mean, at least pre-COVID, there were so many ones that did in home health because I looked at that for a while. I did that to supplement what I was doing at school for a while. And I had a place up here that I worked with, but there were so many to choose from. And I just went with a small company because somebody told, like I knew somebody that worked there, but I couldn't believe how many were out there when I looked. So that's really unusual. Okay. We'll try. I'll do my best.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Are we good, Marissa?
If there's no other questions, I am good.
All right.
Thanks.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Give all of your babies lots of hugs for us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.